VApply function. Sometimes there is a need that in the function we want to give some kind of data type there in the function so that in the one line we specify the complete details. So the VApply function is very similar compared to the SApply function. But when using VApply, you need to specify the output type explicitly, which means that when I'm using a VApply function, then in that case, when I'm giving my data, after the data, I have to give my data type, that what type of data I want to take my output as. Is it integer or is it a character or something else? So there we give we call the VApply function instead of any other apply function. The syntax of VApply is VApply within brackets mylist, length, integer. So you can see over here that using VApply function, we get the result 531. Now you must be asking that why there is a need of return type. Because the reason is that when we are returning the value, we need to perform certain more calculations which are there in the pipeline. So in that case, I have to predefine the data type of return, that how I'm returning my data, in which data type my data is returned, because that data is again going as an input for some other processing. And there we need to specify beforehand that what will be my data type, what will be my return data type, and how my data will come to the user as, because user will be using that data for some other purpose. Let's have a look of some functions. The first one is min function, which is used to return minimum value in a vector or the data frame. So how we go about it? So in a vector, if I'm using a min function, I will call min and within brackets vector name. And if in a data frame with a column, I will use min data frame ampersand symbol column name. Now suppose there is in a data frame multiple columns are there. I will use min, C is my function, data frame column 1, data frame column 2 and so on. So I have multiple columns over here. In a whole data frame across all columns, SApply is having data frame comma min. So here basically data frame comma min is the final output. Now let's create a vector and understand some more concepts. I'm creating a vector data where the value is 23, 4, 56, 21, 34, 56 and 73. I want to get the minimum data. What will I do? I will write print. Within print, I'll call min function, and within the min function, I'll call the data variable. So I'm returning the minimum value, which is 4. Then I print max, and within max, I pass data, and then my data maximum value is 73. So that is how I've created a vector, and I'm printing the minimum and maximum. Now, let's have a look of this data frame and understand the max min functions. Creating a data frame, now you all know, this is a data frame where there are 3 columns. The first column is a vector with values 23, 4, 56 and 21. The second column is a vector with values Sai, Deepu, Ram and Govind. And the third column is again a vector with values 1.3, 4.6, 7.8 and 6.3. So these are the 3 columns, and these 3 columns are restored in the variable data. Now we get the minimum value in first column. So print min is my function, and within min I pass data $column 1. So data $column 1 is what? This is the first column which I am pulling from my data. Likewise, I print min data $column 2. So here I am calling the column 2, or I can say I am using the $sign to pull column 2 from the data frame data. And then the min function is working on that column 2 and printing the minimum value. Likewise, I am getting the minimum value in the third column where I print min within brackets data $column 3. Then we have the maximum value where I'm printing again with the help of max function. Now in this max function, I pass my data $column 1, and like that max data $column 2, and max data $column 3. So you can see that I am using the min function and the max function, and I am printing the values on the right hand side. On the right hand side, you can see 3 Deepu, 1.3, 56 Sai and 7.8. So you can see over here that the minimum value is 4 for the column 1. The minimum value is Deepu for column 2. You must be wondering how come Deepu is minimum, because it is an alphabetical order search and D comes first in before S, A, R and G in the alphabetical order. So it is minimum. Likewise, the minimum value of column 3 is 1.3. Then we have the maximum value in first column, which is 56. We can see the maximum value in the names is Sai, and the maximum value in the column 3 is 7.8. Let's discuss this example now. This example is an R program to get minimum and maximum values across the data frame using fapply function. So here we all are using sapply function and we are calculating the maximum and minimum. So how we will go about it? It is very simple. We are using the sapply function, and first of all we create a data frame that we have created already, which is the same data frame with the variable name data and 3 columns, column 1, 2 and 3. You all know column 1 is having values 23, 4, 56, 21. Likewise, column 2 is having 4 different values, which are 4 names, and the third column is having 4 values which are fractional in number and they have significant digits after the decimal point. Then we get the minimum value across the data frame. So how we get the minimum value across the data frame? So we print sapply function, we call sapply function within the print function and pass the data as the variable. So when we pass the data as a variable, we put a comma and we write min. Min means the minimum value across the data frame. And likewise, we pass the data and max and we again use sapply function and pass that in the print function. So that is how we are using the sapply function, and within sapply function we are calling the min and max function. Min function is working on data and max function is also working on data. So you can see the output on the right hand side. Here you can see column 1, column 2 and column 3 are the 3 outputs, where you can see 4, Deepu and 1.3 are the results. So now you will see, if you see the difference of the original data frame where we applied the min and max function, the result was in the form of list. The output was in the form of list. But now when we are using the sapply function, here the output is in the form of a vector. You can see the output is a vector, which is 4, Deepu and 1.3. I hope you all can see that 4 is enclosed in double quotes, Deepu is also enclosed in double quotes, and 1.3 is also enclosed in double quotes. So basically, automatically the data is converted into character data type. So that is the thing that we have to understand, that when we use sapply function, we are creating a vector and not a list as an output. So the return data type over here is a vector. It is a vector return, and that is why it is a vector of characters. Now you must be thinking that why it is an upgradation of character for all the values. That is due to the reason that if we convert Deepu into numeric, it would be senseless. We cannot convert Deepu into a numerical value. But definitely numeric values can be treated as character data types, because we have to save the data at every step. We will not delete the data, or we cannot say not available. Rather, we have to save the data at every step. So the conversion is done in such a way that the data has been converted into character data type. Now, if you see the maximum value across data frame, you will see 56 Sai and 7.8. So here also you see that the data has been converted into the character data type. It is a character data type, and you can see the maximum values. So now this output is a vector data type, and that is why we have applied sapply function over here on the data with the operation max. So that is how we can work with the sapply function. Now we will discuss two functions which are very popular in R, They are which.max and which.minimum. Now, these functions are also very good functions where we can find out the maximum value and the minimum value. These functions are basically very shorthand notations, and in these functions, we have to pass the vector variable within the parenthesis. The moment we pass the vector variable within the parenthesis, we get the maximum value or the minimum value as an output. You can see over here in the sheet that vector is a variable which is holding values 516053304 1. So this is basically a vector. After that, we type vector and press enter. So we get the output, which is the vector. The list of vector is 516053304 1. And now I write which.max within brackets vec. So what I'm doing, I'm calling which.max function, and within brackets I pass vec. I pass vec, which means vector variable, and now vector variable is returning 3. Likewise, which.min, and I pass vec, and now it is returning 4. So you can see that which.max and which.min is returning 3 and 4, which is the outcome of the vector. You can see over here that in this case the maximum value which is applied to the list is 3, which is not the correct answer. But here it is displaying output because it is some output which is coming on the screen. So likewise, I can find out the minimum value and the maximum value. And definitely when we keep on changing the data, we get different results, and the results are displayed on the screen. So here basically the idea is that we have to understand what is a vector, how to create a vector, and how to pass a vector into a which function, and it will return a maximum value and a minimum value. So that is how we can apply these functions on our data frames. So students, let's recap that what we have done in this lecture. In this lecture, we have discussed a family of apply functions, where in the beginning we saw that apply functions are functions which accept 3 arguments. The first one is the data, the second one is the column number or the row number, and the third one is the operation. Now, there was a problem with the apply function that it could hold only operations on data frames and matrices, whereas in the R programming we have lists and various other kinds of data types. So for that, we have some more functions. For example, sapply function. So if we go for sapply function or lapply function, we can work on the list type of data. So if I'm using lapply function, I work on the list type of data as well. I can work on list data. If it is the sapply function, in that case, I found that I can have a return data type as well. So sapply is giving me a return data type, which is a vector data type. And when it is a vector data type, the elements of the vector are homogeneous. They are of same data type. So dealing with same data type is very easy as compared to dealing with different data types, because we are heading towards structuring of data. The big data is huge. It is unstructured data, and we have to deal with unstructured data. So how to gradually shift towards structured data? There we will find out that this family of apply function is very fruitful, because it can bring the output in the same format. For example, a vector, which is of same data type. So after that, we have seen one more type of apply function, where within the function, we could very easily give the data type. We could have inbuilt data type over there. So that was basically a vapply function. That was a vapply function where within the parenthesis, I could give the return data type. So there even I was specifying the return data type, and that return data type was helping me in fixing my return, so that the output which is cached or returned into a variable can further be processed for data analysis or data analytics. So students, I hope you all are able to understand this lecture of family of apply. In the next lecture, we will see some more technologies of R programming. Till then, thank you.